Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. We're just giving everyone a few minutes to sign in. So we will be starting in about 5 minutes or so. Thanks. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Vicky, Community Manager at Envision. As always, we've got lots to share with you in this next hour. Firstly, I am honored and thrilled to say that in just a few moments, we will be speaking with today's very special guest panelist, Michael Hingson, inspirational speaker, New York Times best-selling author, and 9/11 survivor. Michael also became an Envisioner just over a year ago. In a special virtual fireside chat with Envision CEO Karthik Kannan, we look forward to hearing what Michael will share with us today. Next, we will be reviewing the latest updates on the Envision glasses, namely the newly revamped Find, Discover, and Explore features, as well as taking a sneak peek under the hood at Envision Labs with Karthik Kannan. Finally, it's your turn to ask us any questions you may have. More on that in just a moment. First, just a bit of housekeeping. Today's webinar is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube. We ask that you please hold off until the Q&A session at the end of the presentations before asking your questions. Also, out of respect for everyone's time, please keep your questions short, to the point, and relevant to the rest of the audience. You can ask us questions in one of the following ways. On Zoom, you can use either the Q&A window or the raise hand function, which can be invoked by using the keystroke Alt-Y on Windows and Option Y on Mac. If you're invited to speak, the keystroke to mute and unmute yourself is Alt-A for Windows and Command-Shift-A for Mac. For those of you on YouTube, by all means, don't be shy. Please feel free to ask your questions via the YouTube chat function. And now, without further ado, let's kick things off, shall we? Karthik, over to you.
Thank you, Vicky. So I would like to welcome everybody to another interesting and amazing webinar here at Envision. There's been a lot of things happening under the hood at Envision, some things that are public, some things that are still cooking in the labs until the time is right. And I'm excited to talk to you about all of them. But let me start off with the feature that we have been working on for a while, which is called the improvements. I would say it's not a new feature, it's a feature that you're already familiar with, but we have been able to boost them and make them a lot more useful than what they were earlier. The first one is the Find feature. Your Find as a feature has existed in the Envision app from a very, very early stage. It is a feature that allows you to look for a specific thing around you, right? Be it an object or a person. And like the way it used to operate earlier was that there was a list of objects that the glasses have been trained on. You can pick which is the object that you want it to look for, and you just hit that object, and then it will be able to start looking for that object on the camera screen. And as and when that object is available, visible to the camera, it'll instantly give you a beep and a sound informing you that now that object is in front of you. With the recent improvement to this feature, there are two big changes that it has undergone. The first one is that there's a lot more objects that it is able to recognize. So the amount of objects that it can recognize and the accuracy with which it can recognize them and the speed with which it can recognize them, all of these aspects have been majorly improved. And as you will start using these features, you will actually see the improvement and feel the improvement. But in addition to that, now they also offer you an indication of the direction in which the object that you're looking for is. And we do that with the clock notation. So it'll inform you, the location on things based on the notation of the clock, right? So if something is, slightly towards your like right, it'll say it is at 1 o'clock. If something is a bit more to the right, it'll say 2 o'clock. And similarly, if something happens to be on, like on like left hand side of you, it'll say 11 o'clock, or it'll say like 10 o'clock. And your hands, you're like giving you an idea of like which direction an object is in. And this is incredibly helpful, especially when you're trying to look for the, like the object, right? When you're trying to look for the door in the building, or you're trying to look for like your phone, like your phone that like you cannot find. All of these things are now a lot more easier with this new improved find objects feature. We'll be like releasing a bunch of like videos about this on our like YouTube channel. So if you're watching this already on a YouTube, or if you have time afterwards, go take a look at the you look at a YouTube channel of Envision, where we do have like videos that are from the community, that are from the users, who talk about how they are using this feature in their everyday lives. Another thing that got a significant improvement in addition to the find objects feature was the describe scene feature, where now the descriptions that we can have are like incredibly a lot more accurate. This has been something that we have been slowly working on from the very early days. I remember the very early version of the scene description that we made about 5 years back was very fundamental. It'll give you very basic description of things, very simple stuff like if you take a picture of me, it'll say it is a man looking at the camera, right? That's all the information that it will offer you. But over the years, like slowly but surely, that kept on improving. It evolved to it's saying that there is a man with a gray like shirt in front of you, and so on and so forth. Now that we've come to a point where it can sort of be very descriptive in its description, where it can say it looks like a man with a shirt with a black hair, it sort of offer you like a lot more information that you otherwise would not have access to. So the describe scene has seen a big improvement, and it is now available as a feature update on the app and on the glasses to everybody to use. So anybody who has the Envision app on their phone or the Envision glasses, you can use these already. So I think that's a big aspect of these two features, that they are available on both the Envision app and on the glasses. So everybody who is interacting with Envision either through the app or the glasses can use these features. So that's a quick wrap up on what is already out and what Envision has been putting out over the past month. And towards the end of the webinar, I'm going to talk about what's in the pipeline, like what is still like brewing in like the labs, and something that you might be able to see soon enough. So I'll give you a sneak peek into that towards the end of the webinar. So do stick on for that. But for now, I have the honor to invite like the guest of honor of this webinar, that is Michael Hingson. Plenty of you who are attending this webinar probably already have heard of him, but he's a best-selling author and a motivational speaker, and he also happens to be an envisioner. So Mike, excited to have you on this webinar, and I thank you, for being a part of it. How are you doing today?
Well, doing well. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here. So I appreciate it very much.
Awesome. So Mike, like of course you have been wearing a lot of different hats. Everybody has heard about the incredible story of you and and like your guide dog, like Roselli, and how that whole fateful event at your 9/11 happened. But yeah, like I think I want to ask you some fundamentals of how that has defined your thinking, and what does action, what does taking action really like mean for you? So if you can shed some like light into that.
I think if September 11th, in my experience, really means anything, it is that any of us, whether we're blind or not, can be put in any situation at any time. And the more that we are recognizing that we are as capable as people with eyesight and exercise our independence and become a part of the world, that we're more likely to be in any of those situations at any time. So I was in the World Trade Center and did some things that perhaps a lot of people might not have thought of doing, but I was the leader of an office. I ran an office for Quantum Corporation, and I chose to learn all that I could about what to do in an emergency, as well as learning everything I could about how to travel around the World Trade Center, both in terms of dealing with emergency exits and emergency evacuation procedures, but just traveling around the center. And I did all of that because I knew that oftentimes I might be in the office alone when my colleagues or my employees were out selling and supporting customers, because that's where I wanted them, out selling. And I might not be out there with them. I might be in doing the things that I needed to do. So I had to know everything for myself in order to be able to function. But it developed a mindset that told me that when something happened, although I didn't even think about it at the time, I could function and not necessarily fear what was happening. Well, sure enough, all of that came together on September 11th. And the first thing that happened to us is the airplane hit the building and the building tipped, and then it came back to a normal upright position. And people were saying, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. And I was saying, slow down. And what I realized was I was saying slow down because I had next to me a guide dog, Roselle, who wasn't giving me any indication that she was sensing anything that caused her fear. And I knew what she was like when she was afraid. So again, it's all about observing your surroundings, drawing conclusions, and taking that microsecond, if you will, to deal with and know what to do and how to address different situations, and to bring that mindset to focus. So I think that taking action really starts with preparation in whatever you do. And yes, it is true that there's no way that we could have truly prepared. And certainly people have said, well, how did your dog get trained to deal with an emergency like that? You don't train a dog to do that. The person has to be trained, because the job of a guide dog is to make sure that we walk safe, not to know where to go and what to do. That's the preparation that we need to do. And I think that any individual in taking action or accomplishing anything has to start with preparation and working toward making sure that as much as we possibly can, we know what to do, and teaching ourselves in our minds that we can take that action and move forward accordingly. So that would be probably my best answer for you.
Wow, no, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, the preparation is key. So yeah, that's pretty incredible, and I think I would be curious to understand if if there has been any sort of a change in your perspective about things, that like before and after the event, like is there a few topics or things about which your perspective changed after this experience?
Oh, I think so. Or at least my perspectives have become more firm. I think that the issue is that what happened on September 11th wasn't anything that we could have expected to happen. Who would have thought that someone would have deliberately crashed airplanes into the towers? I'm sure that someone must have thought about that, just because we tend to be a society and a race that likes to think about what if, but no one thought about it seriously enough that they did anything, and I don't hold anyone responsible for that. I don't think that we could have determined in advance that somebody on September 11th was going to crash aircraft into the towers, but they did. And I think that for me, one of the most important things that has happened is that I've developed an attitude and a perspective that says, don't worry about what you can't control. Focus on the things you can and let the rest take care of itself. Because the bottom line is, if you don't have control over it, you can fret about it all day, you can worry about it all day, and it's not going to get you anywhere. So we really need to focus on the things that we do have control over, and we need to not focus and worry so much about the rest. It will make our lives less stressful. It will help us learn to control our fears, and as I like to say, not be blinded by fear. And I'm working on a new book. We wrote Thunderdog, and you mentioned being a best-selling author. Thunderdog, the story of a blind man, his guide dog, and the triumph of trust, was published in 2011. And we're now writing a third book. The middle book was more for children, about Roselle and me growing up and meeting and so on. But the third book deals with something that I decided to think about during the pandemic, which is, I've talked to people a lot about not being afraid, but I've not talked to people about how we can learn to control fear. And as I, again, like to say, not be blinded by fear. The typical expectation is something happens, you get panicky, you get worried, you lose control over your ability to make immediate decisions. And that's, of course, the issue that happened with me on September 11th. And so I learned and established a mindset that said you can focus on dealing with what you need to. And your fear is something that can be a powerful motivator and a powerful mechanism to get information, rather than you allowing it to overwhelm you so that you can't do anything. So we're writing a new book that'll be out next year that talks about all that. And it's going to be based around my 8 guide dogs that I have had over the last 59 years, and talking about the lessons I've learned from them and the lessons that they teach people and that guide dogs teach people about fear and not control, or not being overwhelmed by it, but rather controlling it. So it's going to be kind of fun when that one comes out.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would be looking forward to that already. Actually, that sounds like a great book.
Me too.
To read. And speaking of having a control over things, and speaking of being able to make the decisions, that's been one of the fundamental goals behind us building a tool like Envision, is offering people the choice, offering people the control, so that they can use the information that they gather to make better decisions for themselves. You have been a user of Envision for a while. So yeah, I think I would just be interested in understanding how you have been using, not just Envision, but any other assistive technologies in general to sort of help you have the control and to be able to make the decisions.
I think we need to put assistive technology in the right light, if you will. And that is that if you go back and think about the electric light, Thomas Edison invented it in 1878. And why did he do that? He developed, as we would say with the Americans with Disabilities Act, a reasonable accommodation for light-dependent people that gave them light on demand. And we have spent the last 122 and almost 150 years developing and improving the technologies to give light to people so that they don't have to worry about getting around in the dark. The reality is that that covers up their disability of being light dependents and light dependent, I should say. And the fact is that that is a disability, and most people have it, but it's covered up by technology. Well, assistive technology, whether it's that or the kinds of things that we as blind people use, it's still the same thing. It's dealing with addressing the specific gifts or challenges that we or any group has. So for us as blind people, using things like the KNFB reader or BD scan or IRA or Envision are technologies that give us access to things that we otherwise might not have access to. But in magically speaking, it's no different than the light bulb. And we need to mentally get people to recognize that. So I do use IRA, I use Envision. I use several different kinds of devices to know what's on a printed page, or with dealing with a computer like JAWS I use to read screens and so on. And it's all about getting access to information. And the latest one in a lot of senses is Envision. And I also do work with Accessibility that makes internet website products to help make internet websites more usable for people by providing a number of tools to help website developers make their websites more usable for people who happen to be blind. But for Envision, it has opened a lot of doors in a lot of different ways. The most important one for me and what got me started working with Envision was when Envision really made it possible and affordable to get the glasses. God made eyes in the middle of a person's head so that they were up high enough so that people could get a good look at what's going on around them. And the glasses that we use, although I hope over time they will improve and we will have different and better glasses, the glasses that we use give us that same vantage point and nothing else does. So I love the fact that the glasses make it possible for me to do a lot of things like travel through airports, traveling around, getting more information from IRA agents, and being able to do a number of other things like with instant text and so on, which has become one of my favorite features, being able to just look towards something and my gosh, it reads it and it reads it really well. So I'm very happy with that.
Awesome, good to know. And I think I love that Thomas Edison like metaphor that you had there. I'm gonna steal that one. I'm gonna use that a lot because I think that
Go ahead.
makes a lot of sense. And I think that's also in line with how we look at innovation in our space as well. Yeah, no, thanks a lot for that. And maybe just to like to wrap up, this is a question we ask everybody: is if you is there something about Envision that surprised you, sort of like when you like used it, like when of course you had heard about it a bit before, but was there something that was that took you by surprise when you like used it in your everyday life?
Having heard about instant text, I'm really impressed and surprised by how well it works, even better than reading text, although there are advantages to both. But for me, I tend to use instant text more to be able to just look towards something and it reads it. And the other thing that surprises me is how much the company has been very involved with users and is taking input to heart and doing things like the things that you talked about at the beginning of this webinar, the find feature and so on, which has become so much better. And the fact that we're seeing artificial intelligence concepts being brought into Envision in relevant and useful ways. I think that is really cool and has been a surprise. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what will happen over the next few years and how much Envision is going to grow and how more helpful it will be and how more it integrates with products like IRA to make it possible to use the agents and other things that artificial intelligence can't totally do today. Some people say, well, eventually AI will take everyone's jobs. I don't think so. There are always going to be things that people are going to be able to do better than any kind of technical product because the humans are the ones that really ultimately do the innovation. And I don't think we're close yet to having technology that can do that. So it's a team between AI and what it can do and what people can do. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all the things that will happen over time.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I also appreciate the time that you've given us to be here today. Anything you would like to plug in the end? You did I mention your book? Do you have a date of when it is coming out, and anything else you would like to share about your other works?
Our title for the book, our working title, is Live Like a Guide Dog, and you have to read the book to really understand it. It looks like it will be around July of 2024 or possibly into August. That seems to be a popular time for books to be released. But Thunderdog is still out there, and I hope people will get it. And of course, as you mentioned, I do travel and speak. My wife passed away this past November, so my time is more my own and looking for ways to go travel and speak and help inspire others and teach more people about blindness and the fact that blindness isn't the problem. It's our attitudes about blindness that are the real challenge that we all face.
All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it a lot. If you could please hang back with us just a bit, because we have the Q&A, your section in the end
Yep.
of the webinar, and the people might have.
I'm here until the webinar's over.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for your time. All right. With that, just quickly, I would like to cover a few more aspects of the updates. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, we also have a few things brewing under the hood. One of the cool things that we launched previously was the Ask Envision feature. There are incredible use cases of Ask Envision feature that we've been seeing since then across. So just to explain it very quickly, Ask Envision is a feature that's now available on the Envision glasses, where anytime you scan a text, so you take a picture of any piece of a document, you can then simply ask Envision a question about the text in the document, right? So if you're scanning, like a menu, you can just ask it to speak out the desserts. You can ask it for, what is the price of the salads, or you can ask it if there are vegetarian options in the menu and speak it out. We've been seeing some incredible the use cases of this all across the world. We've been seeing people who are using it a lot at the work, where we heard a person from Japan who was in a data entry job, where he used to just enter the data from a piece of paper into an Excel sheet. That was basically his job. And it used to take him at least half an hour to enter the data from a piece of paper onto Excel, because he had to literally sort of go over every line of the paper, line by line, to look for the specific things that he needs. But with having Envision glasses and having the Ask Envision feature, he could just take a picture of the document and simply ask for the data points that he's looking for, and the glasses will speak out those answers to him. So he could literally decrease the time that it used to take to him to do a data entry job from 30 minutes down to 5 minutes. So that's a very tangible and a real impact of a feature like Ask Envision. But of course, the uses of it has been incredible. People have been reading recipes, cooking instructions, invoices, tax letters, and so on and so forth. And to be honest, I have been using this feature a lot as well. I live in the Netherlands. I do not speak that good of Dutch, but in the Netherlands, you often get these letters from the tax authorities, right? And they come up in this scary purple envelopes. So every time I get a scary purple envelope from the tax authorities here, I'm always anxious just by receiving this letter, because it has a lot of instructions about your taxes, about stuff you need to pay, but it's all in Dutch. And often I would just use the translate app on my phone to translate everything about it, and you have it, I read out the whole thing to me. But now, and until I'm at the end of the whole translation only, then do I know if I need to do anything about these letters. But with the Ask Envision feature, now I just take a picture of the letter as soon as I have it, and I just ask it to give me a summary of the letter in English, and it does that immediately, and it immediately lets me know if I need to take any action on this, yes or no. And then depending on that, I think if I want to deal with this now, or if I want to deal with it in the weekend. So I've been using the Ask Envision feature a lot as well. But of course, there's always a room for improvements to this feature, and that's what I'm here to talk about. Our team has been hard at work in making this feature even better to use. One of the improvement that we are bringing to Ask Envision is that we want to add a multilingual support to it. Until now, you could only ask the questions to this feature in English, but we have in the works a version that can also accept the questions in other languages. we're like looking to support as many languages as is supported by scan text, which is over 100 languages. It is technically a very like challenging like thing to do. When we started out, we thought it'll be easier to do this, but as we got into it, we realized that building a speech to text engine which can support over 100 languages on something and that also on a processor that is pretty small, that is on a smart glass, it is a pretty difficult task to do. But our engineering team loves challenges, and they have been working on this challenge for months. As of now, I've been seeing a demonstration of a new speech to text almost every week that they have been building, and every time it's like hit or a miss. But now I think we are pretty close to having a version that can support multiple languages. So all of our non-English speakers can also use these with their own text. So that is currently being attested by the Envision team internally. Hopefully soon we can open it for external testing by the beta testers. And once the external testing is done, we will be pushing it to production. But that is a big improvement that you can expect coming to Ask Envision soon. But that's not it. There is a much bigger and more exciting improvement to Ask Envision that is being attested by our external beta testers right now. And that is Ask Envision, but for images, right? So how the existing version of Ask Envision only deals with the text that you have scanned with scan text, but the next version can actually do the same thing with images. So you take an image of anything, and as soon as you do that, it'll give you a very detailed description of exactly what's in the image. And to give you an indication of that description, like how in the describe scene right now, it gives more detail, but it's still limited to your 1 or 2 line. But in the like the new Ask Envision feature, it sort of goes to 2, 3 sort of paragraphs of a description of anything that you take in like in front of you. So that's something that is currently in in like beta. Our users are testing it and offering us very valuable like feedback. There is still some ways to go for it to be you're ready for actually for a production, but our team is working on getting it polished and getting it into all of your hands as quickly as possible. And the exciting aspect about it is, as the name says, it's Ask Envision. So it's not just giving you a detailed description of an image, but it also is making that image interactive. So you can also ask it a question, right? You can ask if there is a chair in the room that's empty. You can ask what is the color of the sweater that the person is wearing. You can ask all of these questions to this, so you can sort of interact with these images and just speak to it like you would be speaking to a sighted person who is next to you. So that is going to be coming up very soon, and yeah, we cannot be more excited about opening it up into the hands of everybody. As of now, it's only available to the beta testers of the glasses, and they're offering us very good like feedback so that we can improve it to a point before we release it out for everybody. If you would like to help with us with like testing these new features on the glasses, just like shoot us an email at support@letsenvision.com, and we will just share with you the steps on how you can be a part of the beta program of Envision glasses. That's not it. There are some more updates on the hardware end. There is a new hardware. There is a new frames that we now have that are now also available in addition to the 2 frames that were available for the Envision glasses. So for people who are familiar, the Envision glasses, they came with a choice of the Smith Optics frame, which is a protective frame that's available on the glasses. It's more like bigger. It comes with a protective stuff on the side, and that's what we recommend for people who do want to have it tinted with like dark lenses, people who are light sensitive. Then we had the second option, which was the Lux frames, which was a bit more stylish looking, if you may. It had a tortoise kind of a print on it, and it was the more like fashionable and a favorable look for people who did want their glasses to look good, and they didn't want it to look too big and like bulky on their face. Now we have a third option. It's called Avela Granite. And it actually is probably, in my opinion, the most stylish of the frames that we have now. It sort of has a translucent gray frame. I'm holding up in like one in front of me as we speak. It has this like a very, I would say, like a classy, transparent, like gray finish to it. This is the style that's very in now, where it's like a just it's like a slightly bigger lenses than the one like the ones on the Lux frames, but definitely the one that's a bit more in style and a bit more trendy for now. So these are the new frames that's also available on the Envision Glasses store. So if you are somebody who has been on the fence about buying frames for the Envision glasses, these would be a perfect choice for you. It's available for $150. So anybody who's interested, these are the frames that would be perfect for you. So that's an update on the hardware front on the glasses. Just to wrap up, a lot of events are happening that Envision has been attending. So we might have bumped into a few of you at some of the events. We were at the BVA conference in St. Louis, Missouri, where we had a booth. So we did meet a lot of excited envisioners at the event itself. We also attend the Lighthouse Gala in San Francisco, which was a charity event to raise funds for their Enchanted Hills camp. We have a couple of events coming up in the UK, where we will be a part of all the Sight a Village events that are happening in the UK, along with our distributors, Sight and Sound. And towards the end of this year, Envision will be participating in the Sight Tech Global event, which is an online and offline hybrid event that happens in December. So these are the events that are currently in the calendar and that are currently planned, but do keep following us on socials to know about any more events that Envision will be participating in. So if we are in your neighborhood, we would love to meet you in person. And with that, I bring the planned and the scheduled part of the webinar to a close. I'll be opening up the floor now for any of the of a question that any of you might have. You can ask us a question in a few different ways. You can either use the like a raise hand function that's on Zoom to ask us a question. You can type in like a question in the Q&A section of Zoom. Or if you're watching on the YouTube, you can just put your comments or the questions in the chats, and we'll be able to pick it up from there and respond to you. We'll do our best to answer as many of the of questions as we can on this webinar. But if we do leave some out, we will also have other ways of you're reaching out to us with your questions, so we can ensure that no questions goes unanswered. And with that, I see my first raised hand from Mike himself. Yeah, Mike, please go ahead and ask us your question.
Sure. So with the improving of Ask Envision and the translate features and so on, how much of that is available offline as opposed to you have to be connected to the internet to use it?
So the Ask Envision features, at least in the short term, is going to be an online feature, because these are like processing heavy features, right? Where they do need a lot of processing power for us to be able to do the compute. And because the processor on the glasses, because the intention is to keep it like lightweight, the processors on the glasses are not very strong. So these, at least in the short term, will be online features.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. I'm going over to the attendees. I have a raised hand from Sheldon McKinney. Sheldon, if you could unmute yourself and you can ask us your question.
Yes. My name is Sheldon McKinney. I'm a BVA ambassador. I got a question that a lot of veterans are having these days. They're having technical problems as far as Wi-Fi connectivity and hotspot connectivity. Is there a problem with that feature at this time?
There is no problems with making the classes connect to the hotspot and to your Wi-Fi. Is there anything specific that like you are experiencing?
Well, I don't have it, but it's just about 5 or 6 veterans has been reaching out to me mentioning that they was unable to connect to Wi-Fi even when they was at the conference in St. Louis last week. They was having problems to do it with the hotspot. It wouldn't connect for some reason.
Okay, no, that is strange and unusual. So I would definitely, like recommend people who are having this issue to to like reach out to us over the support channels. We will definitely be able to assist you with any of the issues that you're having, because like there are no like known issues with making a connections to the your Wi-Fi or the hotspot. Those two functions should be working fine. As long as you're able to make a connection to the hotspot or the Wi-Fi with your phone, you should also be able to make a connection to hotspot or a Wi-Fi with the glasses. There should be no difference between the two.
Okay, I'll get them to reach out to you guys and maybe y'all can help them one-on-one to resolve the issues.
Yes, we would definitely. If there is issues that are identified, our team will like jump on a call immediately and like make sure it gets resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sheldon. All right, let me take a quick peek in the Q&A section of things. Mayank asks, can we expect Ask Envision feature in the app as well? Yes, Mayank, that is the goal. But yeah, we don't have a timeline on it yet. It is still a feature that's in development. So yeah, we will have to let you know if we can also bring this to the app. As I mentioned, there is a cost attached to it on Envision's end because of the server expenses that happens because of processing heavy a feature like Ask Envision. We do need to optimize it significantly before it can be generally available on the app. But there is a lot of effort going on by the Envision engineering team to make that happen. So the idea is that it should be available to everybody, both the users on the glasses and the app. That is the goal. Jim Hamilton asks, is there a further development regarding including Be My Eyes app on the glasses? Jim, there is. This is a question we do often get a lot. We did build like a version of the Be My Eyes app on the glasses. So from a technical end, everything is almost in place. The ball is in the Be My Eyes court. They have to like find some engineering a bandwidth to help you complete the integration, but they have like had the hands full with a few things like recently. So if you guys would definitely you reach out to your folks at Be My Eyes and let them know that this is something that you would really like to see happen in the short term, that is something that will definitely encourage them to do it. But from Envision's end, all the technical like legwork to integrate that is already done. We just need to find time on the Be My Eyes and to like to complete the integration. So if you can let them know through their support channels that this is something that you would really appreciate, that will definitely be a source of encouragement for them. So there is a question from Holger Ross. He says, my question goes to data protection. In Germany, we have strict rules. So is it possible to set up the current ally feature in own servers without Envision server usage? This would lead to virtual assistants like Ira, but with data protection. Thanks. Yes, Holger, that is something we're definitely open to discuss. When a call and ally happens, it's just a very highly secure one-to-one video streaming a network. It's not possible for anybody else to be in that video streaming room, and none of the data that happens during a call is recorded. So at no point is a video or any other piece of data being recorded in the duration of a call. So we do take things like data protection pretty seriously. Being based in the Netherlands, we do comply very heavily with the EU or GDPR regulations. But if there is something specific you would like to happen with respect to the Colin Ally, definitely reach out to us through support at let'senvision.com, and our team will be happy to discuss to accommodate your requests. All right, let me now bring someone else on the panel. I have a raised hand from Farishte. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But Farishte, if you can unmute yourself and ask us your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. First of all, I'm very pleased to get a chance to join and enjoy another webinar about Envision AI. I have a few questions. The first one is, the app Envision AI used to support Persian language or Farsi language in the past, but I don't understand why it has been removed from the app. So nowadays the app doesn't support Persian. This is my first question. And my other question is about the demonstration. We really sometimes we really need someone to be with us and demonstrate the class one-to-one and to see how much we can get support from the class. It means how much we could be independent of asking people. So, but there is nothing happened. My location is in United Kingdom, and then ask Sight and Sound several times for the demonstration. And my third question is just an advice. I don't know if it's possible or no. Nowadays there are lots of smart glasses like Orcam, Envision, Ira, and so on. I am wondering why they don't want to have a live meeting and they talk about the advantage and disadvantage of those products. So it will give us actually more power to choose the one we really needed, and it will be more useful. Thank you very much. If you could answer.
Yes, Farishta, thank you so much for the questions and for attending the webinar as well. With regards to the first question about the Persian language, I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm not sure why is it no longer available on the app. I will definitely check with my engineering team and I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, it should it should be something that should be available on the app. It was available previously. I'm not sure why it's no longer available, but I will check with my engineering team and I'll get back to you immediately, and I will make sure it becomes available if it's just a bug because of which it's no longer showing up. With regards to the in-person demonstration, I think that is something that we do hope to arrange as often as possible. We do understand that it's very important to actually you have that in-person demonstration and that in-person experience of these classes before you can make a decision about them. And that's the reason we work with our distributors across the world so that they can actually like be there as and when there is a need for doing a demonstration. I will definitely take a look at it and understand with a sight and sound what is the reason why it's not it's not possible for them to offer you a demonstration, because they do offer demonstrations to customers across the UK and Ireland. So if for some reason they've not been able to offer you an in-person demonstration, that is something that we'll definitely escalate, and we'll see if that can be resolved. So if I can ask you to like to send us up like an email to support@letsenvision.com. We will definitely like loop in our partners at Sight and Sound to make sure that you do get in-person demonstrations. We also hold a lot of events. Like I mentioned, we are doing the Sight Village event in different parts of the UK that we will be attending, that we will have a booth in along with your Sight and Sound. So these in-person exhibitions are like the best opportunities to get a hands-on experience of Envision and your of Envision, but also of other technologies that are also available during that exhibition days. So I think that would be the best way to get a hands-on experience of these glasses. We do our best to be in as many places around the world as possible to be able to offer this ourselves. But yeah, because we cannot be everywhere, we do depend pretty heavily on some of our distributors to represent us and to do the demonstrations on our behalf. So I do hope that we can arrange a demonstration of these glasses for you pretty shortly. If not, there is also a third option, which we also often recommend, which is that all of the Envision glasses, they come with a 30-day return policy, and it is a 30-day no questions asked return policy. So if you are unsure whether these glasses are the right like tool for you, you can always just order them and use them for 30 days. And if at the end of 30 days, if you think they're not the right fit for you, you can just return them back to us, and we'll give you a full refund on their cost. So that is also a way for you to like try these glasses, but without taking the like a risk on it. So that is your solution as well, that you can to consider if you are in a region or a location where an in-person demonstration is not possible as of now. I hope that helps answer all of the questions that you had. Thank you, Farishta. All right. Jumping back into the Q&A, quite a lot of questions here, but let me see if I can get to the most important ones. There is a like a question from Olaf Alici. He says the battery of my glasses makes sure no use for me. For example, I charge on a Sunday, fully shut down and take off the plug. I cannot start my glasses 3 or 4 days later, for the battery is empty. I read that only the sound after shutting down is finally shut down. I have to hold the switch for more than 5 seconds. However, the sound is no more to hear. Would it not be better to take a longer sound so that when the sound is quiet, I signal to stop pressing the key? Yes, Olaf. So maybe this is something good to clarify to people, because there has been some confusion amongst this. So the batteries on the Envision glasses, they are very small lithium-ion batteries. So even though on a continuous, on like an active use in a day, they do last for about 6 to 7 hours. When you turn them off entirely, the glasses battery will still like discharge, and because the battery form factor on the glasses are like smaller, the discharge is just a bit more noticeable. This is something that is a common behavior for all lithium ion like batteries, that even when they are not being used, they do discharge their power over a period of time. It happens to your phone, it happens to your laptop, just that because the phone and the laptop, the batteries are bigger, you don't really notice them. But on the glasses, it is a lot more like noticeable. So it is normal for the glasses battery to discharge even when they're turned off. So that is something that do happen to these glasses. So you will have to make sure that they are charged sufficiently before you want to start like using them. And I think there is also the issue of them like not making a sound when turning on. That is a technical limitation that we have on the glasses, because we only have the control over the sound after the Android starts to boot up. So when you do turn on the glasses, the Android itself takes a while to boot up, and only once the Android operating system has booted up can we speak any sounds. So I think that is a technical limitation where it's not very easy for you to know whether the glasses have been turned on by mistake. But when turning them off, there is a sound that it makes. So we always ask people to make sure that the sound is is heard as they turn off their glasses, because that is the like the surest way to know that the glasses have been indeed turned off. More questions coming in. Let me see. You can change that. Okay, I'm going to bring on a Mandy or a Nickel who has a like a raised hand. Like Mandy, you can unmute yourself and ask me a question.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes, Mandy. Hey.
Hi, Karthik. Hope you're doing fine.
I'm doing great, thank you.
Before I ask my question, I just want to let you know that I reached out to Be My Eyes, and they told me the other way around. They said, we did everything. Ask Envision. It's up to them.
Okay.
So just that you know that. I have a question with the Envision LA app. We use it on some Androids, and it didn't work very well. So with your friendly support, we got some APKs, and they told us that there will be an improvement and they will bring it in the Google Play Store soon. Do you know when the update will be available in the Google Play Store for the LAs?
Actually, I don't have an update on that. I will have to check with my engineering team on when that Ally update is going to go to the Play Store. I don't have a date with me as of now, but I'll definitely follow up with them, and I'll get back to you on a date as and when we have it.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Mandy. I appreciate that. And I will reach out to the BMIS team and check if there is any sort of confusion, and I'll make sure that at least we are aligned in the communication with regards to this. Thank you so much. All right, I have a raised hand from Eric. Eric Ofori, you can unmute yourself and ask us your question. Eric, you can unmute yourself and ask us your question. All right, as Eric is looking to unmute, I'm gonna pick up some of the questions that I still see in the Q&A. Somebody was asking about the voice commands, where they asked if it's possible to activate the voice commands without using like a physical jump button, so that people with physical disabilities can also access it. So the thing with our voice commands is technically it is possible. It is possible for us to do something like Hey Siri on your phones, for example, where it's always a listening and it's always going to activate like voice command as long as it hears a wake word. That's the term for it. But that would like result in a significant battery drain, because what that essentially means is that the speaker that your mic always needs to be on, and it always needs to be actively like listening for a wake word to be spoken out, and that causes a significant drain to the battery, especially on a small like form factor, like I mentioned, of the glasses. And that's the reason we don't have a wake word activation on the glasses as of yet. And that's why we do you have a trigger function for people to activate it. But we might consider offering people like an option to toggle on and off the wake word detection if they're okay with the effects that it might have on the battery end. So that might be something we might consider in the future. But as of now, the way to activate the voice commands on the glasses is through the hinge button on the glasses. I see Eric is still not unmuted himself. So I'm going to go to the next participant who has a raised hand, which is Teddy.
Hello?
Yes.
Hi,
Eric.
yes. Oh.
Yeah, hi, Teddy. I'll come to you next. Let me just
Sure.
jump with Eric on his question. Yes, hi, Eric. You can ask us a question now.
Oh, I just want to thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity to hear more about Envision. I only use the app, which is very, very, accessible in reading our textbooks and documents. Yeah, I run a center for the blind, and I want to use the support because we are not able to have braille books as such. So the scanning. How can we improve the scanning of textbooks with the AI? Secondly, I want to find out if you have a distributor in Ghana. I'm speaking from Ghana. If there's any distributor in Ghana regarding the glasses. Thank you.
All right, Eric. Thank you so much. Can you Alec, repeat the first question? I didn't understand that. Did you ask how to improve a reading with the app?
Yes. I think it's doing pretty good. But what I realize is it has to take the picture of the book and start making it readable. I think that is fine. But I think if we can still improve with changing the backgrounds, I don't know. Well, maybe I still need to explore more.
Yeah.
To see whether to change the background, because some of us are low vision, so we try to use our sight to read. But I don't know.
Understood.
Maybe you can help me to understand.
Yes. No. So we do have some best practices that we often ask people to use when they're trying to scan a text or a book with the app or with the glasses. So of course, making sure that the background is clear definitely helps. So look for a plain background. So if you can put the book on a table that has nothing else, there's no text on it, and there is a clear difference in the contrast between the table and the book, that often helps. So if you have like a white paper on your book, so just make sure that you have a dark color table or a dark background. That will often help the edge detection on the glasses to to be able to differentiate them pretty well. The other one that we also ask people is to also ensure that the lighting is good in the environment, because if the environment is dark, then the quality of the image is not that good, and that affects the accuracy of the outcome as well. And some people they also sometimes they have these very inexpensive phone stands that they often buy, which sort of can help them hold the phone steady at a good height. So I think that's something that people can use as best practices. But this could be something maybe I can ask your Mike. so Mike, you probably have a lot of experience with reading your text with both your smartphone apps and with the glasses. Do you have any tips for Eric to make sure he gets some more accurate output? Mike, we cannot hear you at the moment.
Let me try that. How's that?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay. The only thing I can think of to say is to make sure that you do position the camera appropriately to be able to read the text. It's one of the reasons that I love the instant text, because it seems to be a little bit less sensitive to actual space. But if you're reading text, you do need to make sure that the camera is far enough away that it really sees all of the text. If you get it too close, it won't necessarily read as well. And it's just going to take a little bit of experimentation for each person to see what works best for them.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mike. And Eric, I hope that answers the first part of your question. For the second part, we don't have a distributor yet in like Ghana. So yeah, if there is a distributor there who would be interested in distributing Envision glasses, we're definitely more than happy to speak with them. But as of now, we don't have a distributor out there.
So if somebody wants to be a distributor, what is the procedure?
So if they want to be a distributor, just ask them to just send us an email to your support@letsenvision.com. And then our like our sales team will reach out to them, and we will just share the details of of how we onboard a distributor.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Eric. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you too.
And with that, we come to Terry. Appreciate your patience, Terry. You can ask us your question now.
Yes, I'm sorry for jumping the gun there. I have two questions actually. The first is I've been attempting to see if there has been any updates for a couple of days, and I get the impression that there has been one recently. Is that correct?
Do you mean on the app or on the glasses?
I'm sorry, on the glasses.
No, there hasn't been an update. Like recently, our previous update was a month ago. These new features that I spoke about, they're only available as a beta. So there has been updated on the beta channel, but nothing on the production yet.
Okay. The second question that I have is, do you anticipate, and I agree with Michael that the instant text is often a lot quicker and reads really well. Do you anticipate putting on additional languages as you have in the scan text?
Yes, that is the goal. To for instant text to also do like more languages. It is already available. So instant text as of now can do, I think, about 15 languages offline. So all of the Latin-based languages can be spoken out by instant text offline. But in addition to that, it can also speak Japanese, Chinese, and Hindi offline. If I'm remembering it correctly. It does do the other languages as well with instant text. The only thing is that they need to be online. So instant text, then the speed of detection depends a bit on your internet speed, but it is possible for instant text to read other languages as well. But if it's like not an offline available languages, there will be a bit of a latency involved.
Okay, thank you very much. And I very much enjoyed the webinar.
Thank you,
Take
Terry.
care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, we are already like way past the time that we had set aside for this webinar. I still see some of the of the questions in the Q&A that probably we have not had the time to answer on this call. We did our best to get across as many of them as possible, both with the chat and both with bringing people on. But if there is a burning like a question that we have not been able to answer, please reach out to us through support@letsenvision.com, and our support team will do their best to answer all of your questions as quickly as possible. With that, I would again
Karthik, can we squeeze I'm sorry, Karthik, can we
Yes.
squeeze one quick question for Michael from the YouTube? I'm not
Sure.
sure if he covered this or not because I haven't been able to hear everything, but there was a person on the YouTube who was asking if Michael had had a chance to play with the Ask Envision feature on the glasses.
I have, and I want to play with it more. I've been traveling, so I haven't been able to play with it as much as I would like, but I do like it. I think it's a great feature, and I'm really excited to see all of the updates and changes that are coming that the beta people have access to that will greatly enhance it. So I think it's a great feature, and it is one of those things that really make Envision well worth having.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael, for jumping on this webinar with us. We really appreciate you and your time. And I hope people who were attending today, they were also inspired by everything that you had to say with us today. And I would finally also like to thank all the attendees, who stuck with us on this webinar. And we hope to bring you a lot more updates in the next one. But for now, it is a goodbye, but we will be in touch until the next time. Thank you so much, and I wish you all a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Have a great day, everyone.